Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio, the podcast that features hundreds of incredible interviews with the students who listen to this show, apply what they learn here, and go on to build beautiful businesses. If you know what a flywheel is, that's what this show is. We teach great stuff. The people who listen apply that stuff. They come on our show to tell the stories of how that great information has changed their lives, how they've implemented the information, and they share their incredible, encouraging, inspirational stories and the very real challenges and difficulties they encountered along the way to help fuel your journey into success. We love doing these episodes, but today we don't have a success story student for you. You can scroll back in time and see dozens, hundreds of those if you'd like. We have plenty more on the schedule as well, but today we're going to dive into one of our favorite tools around here, arguably the favorite tool. I would say if you surveyed 100 of the most successful students in our community and said, what's one tool that you simply must have if you had to get rid of everything else and use one tool to help you make great decisions about the inventory you are buying in your business? 99 of them, if not all 100 of them, would say Keepa, of course. If you've never heard us talk about Keepa before, you can go see what it is at silentjimdotcom/Keepa, Keepa. It's not our tool. We didn't develop it. It's been around a long time. I've been using it personally for well over 10, 12 years at this point. It's been around quite a long time. And it helps give you insight, unlike any other tool, into which inventory you should and shouldn't purchase as a seller on Amazon. Now, if you're brand new listening to this show around here, I don't want to throw you into the deep end too much here. Let me just give you a little bit of insight. If you've been in our community a while, bear with me for a minute or so while I get everyone up to speed. If you come into our community, into the selling community, we've got about 78,000 people in our Facebook group. This podcast is pretty popular among Amazon sellers and e-commerce warriors around the world. But if you come to us and say, hey, I'm a clean slate, teach me how to build a profitable business online. What do you do here that works? I want the lowest risk, lowest cost, highest odds of success business model that you've got. I want to get my feet wet and earn while I learn without spending a whole bunch of money up front. I'm going to wade in nice and slow and build something legitimate. What we're going to say back to you is you need to learn the Amazon system that we teach here called replens. It's a model we developed many, many years ago around here, and we love teaching it. And the tool you're going to need in order to make that journey is called Keepa. It's a tool that grows with you over time. It's got so much robust data in there. It's one of these things that the longer you spend time with it, the more power it has. So you can use it as a surface level, but you can really start to dive in deep and really do some almost data mining and make really good decisions about which inventory you should be investing in and which you shouldn't be as an Amazon seller. Now, if you go back and listen to podcast episode 369 of this show, that's right, we're about episode 1000 now. We're coming up on 1,000 episodes soon. But all the way back to 369, I could have recorded that episode today, and it would be relevant to the discussion. So you may want to go back and listen to it as homework. 369. That's the first time we really dove into what Keepa is, what it does, why it's so vital, what it does that no other tool does. So there's some background information for you there on Keepa if you want to go listen to that. But today we're going to spend some time with Brian and Robin Joy Olson on our team. They've just created, to our knowledge, the world's first comprehensive walkthrough course that dives into all the different features and elements of Keepa. They don't teach you in depth how to use every single one of those, but they give you enough information about all the different possibilities that you can understand the scope and scale of what this tool does. Now, just a little insight for you into Keepa. What makes it so special? Why isn't anyone else out there making the same thing that they make? You know, software is software, right? Well, no, Keepa does some heavy lifting. They scrape the 4 billion plus ASINs on Amazon globally, constantly, multiple times in many cases throughout the day, to grab data points that simply aren't available anywhere else, like changes in product rank, who has the buy box win, these different points of data that you simply can't get anywhere else. Amazon has a very robust API feed for data nerds. That's just, if you're not a data nerd, that's just all the data that Amazon shares publicly about the products in their catalog. Anybody can sign up and get that API. And most of the tools that you see out there for Amazon sellers, they're based on that API. But if the tool is of any value at all to sellers, all the tools in the market, if they're valuable at all, they also integrate Keepa data, because Keepa scrapes a whole bunch of data that Amazon simply doesn't share publicly, historically. There's no way that you can go to Amazon and say, hey, I want to know what this ASIN's buy box was 6 months ago. Could you tell me? Could you tell me how often different sellers rotate through the buy box, Amazon, say 4 months ago on this product? Amazon doesn't keep track of that data. Now, they may have it stored somewhere, but they certainly don't share it publicly. Keepa scrapes, shares that data, and it helps us make great inventory decisions that give you the highest odds of making the best possible profits in your Amazon business. So that's a little overview, maybe more than you needed to know, especially if you've been around a while, you knew some of these things. But if you're new around here, you need to get into the Proven Amazon course. That's the course. That's where you start. It's a whole library of opportunities on Amazon, but we're going to start you in the same place we've started all the other great success stories you've heard on our show. And that's with the Amazon replens model, helping Amazon fill the underserved shelf space at their hundreds of warehouses, making really good inventory purchase decisions using a tool called Keepa. When you get into the Proven Amazon course or our coaching program, that's what we're going to teach you. Those are the vital skills you need. And today, Brian and Robin Joy spend some time talking about Keepa, some of its origins, some of what makes it powerful, some of the stuff I haven't even covered yet that you're really going to enjoy, as well as they're going to talk about the new course they've created that is a complete walkthrough. It's never been done before, to our knowledge, in the industry, believe it or not. As long as this has been around and as many people talk about Keepa, no one's gone through and given a complete tour of the tool, showing you all the different features, all the different things that you can do with Keepa. Because if you think you understand Keepa, that's a bit of a tell that tells me you haven't studied it enough, because there's always new things you can learn about how to scrape and how to use this tool to find opportunity on Amazon. Always new, creative, interesting ways to use it. And today we're going to dive in and pull back the curtain a little bit on some of that, starting with some very basic conversations about it, diving in a little deeper towards the end. If you want to check out Brian and Robin Joy's new course, it's called Keepa 360. You can go to silentjim.com/360. That's the website for the new tool, the new course that teaches you about Keepa, why it's so special and important in our community. One of the things I love about this community and how we use Keepa is the fact that because there's so many of us using it, they really listen to us. The developers listen to us. When we have suggestions, they implement them quite often. For example, recently we asked them to give us a nice, easy way to see how often Amazon is running out of inventory on any given ASIN. Wouldn't that be good to know? You're looking at a product on Amazon and you see that Amazon is actually one of the sellers. But what if you could determine how many times per month, say, Amazon runs out of stock? Wouldn't that be good to know? Wouldn't it be good to jump on that product and be a second option for buyers when Amazon runs out? If it's happening frequently, it might make some sense to charge a little more money for it even and be a higher priced option. There's a whole business model right there. Well, Keepa put that feature into their tool. It's there now. It's called OOS, out of stock. How many times did Amazon run out of stock in the last 30 days on this product? No other tool can tell you that. Keepa can. That's one of dozens and dozens, maybe even hundreds of different ways that you can use Keepa to make good inventory decisions. And we're honored and excited that they're listening to us and taking suggestions from our community. So stay up to date on what's happening with this very special tool that provides data to Amazon sellers in a way that no other tool can or does. And jump into a great conversation now with my good friends, Brian and Robin Joy Olson, two great coaching team leaders on our team. You can enjoy spending some time with them. Thanks for being the best part of our show, by the way. If you've been a listener for a while, we really appreciate you. As the show continues to grow and we have new listeners around the world, we know it's because you're spreading the word. We have a $0 marketing budget for this podcast, but it continues to grow and inspire and encourage business building warriors around the world. And we know that's because of you sharing it. So thank you very much for that. Hey, let's jump over and spend some time with Brian and Robin Joy.
Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We are your co-hosts. I'm Brian.
And I'm Robin Joy.
And this is Coach's Corner.
All right, Coach's Corner again.
So continuing our series this week of a topic, a tip, and a
term.
I always want to say tool. The topic of tipping a tool.
The topic often has to do with a tool, and today it just does happen to do with a tool.
Yes. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics.
Everything is your favorite. But I do believe this is one of your favorite topics because you spend a lot of time there.
Keepa.
Yeah.
The Keepa. So let's just dig into Keepa a little bit here. This is the topic. Today is going to be all about Keepa. Okay. And we can talk about Keepa, and we're going to try and keep it from being overly technical. The point here is to talk about what it is, how it came about.
Well, this series is for pretty new people to Amazon platform and to our community if you're coming into the Silent Gym community. But the tool that we're talking about is one that we could talk about
every day,
all day. And we kind of do. We talk about this a lot with each other.
Yeah.
And of course, that's Keepa, and you can get Keepa at Keepa.com. I'm sure someone will put a link in the show notes. But this is the one tool that we really do recommend that new sellers on the Amazon platform should get. It gives you a lot of historical evidence that you can use to make a decision. So let's get into that.
So I think what's interesting about Keepa is maybe not unlike some other tools that were popular back in the day. Like camel.
Sure.
Okay, Keepa was originally, I think, and I wasn't there when it first launched.
No.
But from all facts I can gather, is this tool was launched for consumers.
Yes, it really was.
Yeah.
This was for consumers to be able to track items that they wanted to purchase, but they want to, get notified when the price goes down. We know that Amazon's prices are going up and down all the time. And when you're a consumer, you can say, I want to buy this product, but let me know when it gets below this certain price that I'm willing to pay, and I'm going to get in there and buy it before the price goes down.
Like, let me know the next time this product goes on sale.
Yeah.
Right. Not
or
unlike
if there's a lightning deal or.
Right. Like you get notified when there's lightning deals, when something goes on sale, when there's a discount code, when there's a coupon. I mean, there are a lot of different ways that you can set up your alerts in Keepa, which is awesome when you're a shopper trying to get the best price that you can.
Absolutely. When I'm shopping for Christmas gifts for my grandsons, I'm ahead of the game usually if they get their wish list updated. And then I want to know, when does this go on sale? When can I get it for a good price? So this can still be done.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, I think that some sellers have figured out how to leverage the Keepa platform to do some of the things that you were talking about, to find evidence that certain circumstances have existed before, they're likely to exist again. Therefore, we can make a case to leverage this as a tool, as a seller, to help us determine when to buy, how much to sell for, things like that.
Right. And that doesn't mean we don't need to test it. It's just evidence. It's not proof of anything, but it gives us an idea of what we think it will do in pricing. Keepa deals with pricing. It doesn't tell you how many sales there were at that price. It tells you what the price was historically in different areas. And we'll get into the different areas where you can see that evidence.
So Keepa is actually based in Germany. And so you'll notice when you sign up that you are paying in euros versus US dollars.
That's why we always say it's around $20. That's higher and lower depending on what day it is. Depending
on the foreign exchange rate.
Yes.
Right. That the value of the dollar, how much you're paying can vary.
Right. But your credit card will take care of that.
Yeah. Not a big deal.
And it's not going to be a big deal.
Now, we typically pay for a year at a time.
We do. You get a little discount to do that.
I think there might be a little discount to do that. And I think we might be subject to whatever the Forex or the foreign exchange rate is at that time that we are renewing.
Yeah, probably.
For the year. But this tool was originally launched back in 2011.
Okay.
So we're talking about 24 years of data.
Not.
Is that right?
No.
14 years, sorry.
14. Oh.
Doing math on camera, yeah.
No math on camera. The thing that makes me, I still can't believe it was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
It seems like 10 years ago should have been 1989. So I know most of you, that's not the case, but it really freaks me out when people say, 2000 was 24 years ago.
The world almost ended.
Right. Remember that?
Yes.
Oh, Y2K.
The whole Y2K thing?
Yeah, you had to actually go to work on New Year's Day because you were in the tech field at the time.
We worked all night.
Oh, just in case something happened, because what happened was everything was set up for 19 something.
Yes.
Technology wise, and to change to 2000, nobody knew if that was going to work out all right because there's no way to really test it completely. And so everybody was working that day. I remember that clearly. It was kind of a big deal. There were, the preppers were all excited because something might happen, and there were a lot of people that we knew who were really prepared for something that might happen. Anyway,
but we digress. 2011. Okay, so we're talking about 13, 14 years.
Not 20 years ago.
Right. And the whole point of this was to track the price history of Amazon's products in Amazon's global marketplace. Let's not forget that, Keepa's, from Germany, and we're tracking prices on the .com, but there are all these other scores of marketplaces that Amazon has across the globe that has products on it too. And I can't remember what the total product, I think it's over 4 billion products that are tracked totally across the marketplace, across the Keepa database.
Yeah. Well, and it also tracks products on eBay.
It does track products on eBay. Yeah.
So it's a pretty versatile tool.
So just let's take a quick aside here.
Another one?
Yes. We recently released a course within the Proven Amazon course. It's not actually included in pack just yet. It's still available for purchase, but coaching clients and coaches have free access to that tool. There's a very, very discounted rate out there, which I'm sure Jim can tell you about. Jim told you about in the intro here. But what we covered in that was all the different things that Keepa can do, all the different products that are tracked in different marketplaces. And so we called it Keepa 360 because it's like this 360-degree view of what Keepa does as opposed to just the on-page extension, right?
Right. There's not a lot of Keepa training out there. I mean, there really is not, and Keepa themselves don't do any.
Right.
This is why we were like, somebody needs to dig in and find out what all the things that are available. And while Keepa 360 is, it's a limited amount of video training, we didn't go into every single word of every single, but a really good overview and ability to use all the tools that Keepa has in it. It's a really good course. So where can we find information about that?
Go to provenamazoncourse.com/Keepa360, 360, and you can find out all the details of that. The reason I brought it up was because they do track eBay things. And during the production of that Keepa 360 course, I did reach out to a couple of different folks who specialize on the eBay platform.
Okay.
To find out how they might leverage Keepa on eBay. Yes.
I didn't know you did that. So what did you find out?
Well, what I found is that nobody uses it.
For eBay?
Nobody in my group of people who were using it, they don't use it for eBay.
You don't know of anybody who uses it for...
Yeah, stop kicking the camera.
Sorry, that was a total accident. I didn't know if you were going to catch me or not, but now I kicked the light. All right, I got to figure out where my feet are here. Excuse me, folks. So eBay, you don't know of anybody who uses Keepa for eBay.
Right.
If any of you do, please let us know in the show notes, in the comments, and tell us how you're using it. I'm interested. I'm wondering what it can do for us.
Well, the eBay components are up in the price history and price types section of the advanced of the Keepa Data Product Finder.
Yes.
And what I heard was it's just easier to go and look up closed listings on eBay than it was to use the tool to actually scan for eBay listings.
Well, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah. Well, but anyway, I wanted to throw that out there because yes, it also does track eBay listings,
and we didn't
as you mentioned, and we did not cover that in the Keepa 360 course because I actually couldn't find any what I would consider to be expert or reputable eBay sellers who did actually leverage that tool, and we don't. We don't. We do sell on eBay.
I'm interested though to hear if anybody does.
Yeah, but we don't leverage Keepa in our eBay selling.
All right, so back to Keepa and what we're talking about today. Again, it tracks price history of products on Amazon's global marketplaces. So Amazon.com is what we normally use and what we usually talk about in this podcast, because even the people that we're working with who are living outside the U.S. usually sell inside the U.S. because it's the biggest marketplace by far. And, that's a way that they can get started.
So what you get with this is obviously as many charts as you want to look at. There There are charts, tons and tons of charts.
Many, many ways.
In a lot of different parts of the tool. But you'll also get price tracking, sales ranks, review counts, offer counts,
yes.
all the different data points that you need to help you make a decision.
One of the newer things it has is, that Amazon last year started putting in at over 50,000 sold last month.
Oh, yeah. Amazon started including that.
Right. And so Keepa now has a line where that goes up and down and changes. I think it's a rolling time period where it tells you how many Amazon said sold last month. Now, again, we have not vetted that number. There are a couple of things I think could be confusing, but it's an indicator. Absolutely.
Well, we vetted it from the standpoint of the numbers relatively accurate based on for our own private label items where we are the only offer on listings. I can confirm that it does meet a minimum number. So if it says 100 plus sold and we sold 128, then
that's usually what it says.
Then it's correct. But it doesn't say 128 sold. Right. It says 100 plus sold or over 100 or whatever. It's pretty general in its the way it frames that up.
I agree. What I would like to dig in a little bit more on is I would like to dig in a little bit more on where that time period starts, because it can go up and down in the middle of the month.
I see.
So I think it's like 30 days ago for 30 days before that. But I haven't vetted that. That's, I guess, where I was going with that.
I think it's a rolling 30 days, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Okay.
But again, being data people, we like to vet these things before we say for sure.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll figure that out and update you next time we get a confirmation on that.
So because Keepa has literally endless number of combinations of data points that you could filter on.
I would say virtually an endless supply, not literally.
Did I say literally?
You said literally.
Okay, virtually. Yes, a virtually endless supply of
In other words, I could never get through all of them in my lifetime.
I mean, yeah, in terms of the different combinations, 100% right.
On different ASINs?
Yeah.
No way.
And actually, if you just look at a Keepa chart and you go through, you drill down into the various menus and get details and change your time periods and all that, that can be so much information, like information overload.
Yes.
Right. So we often address the question that we get all the time, which is, what do I really need to know to get started with Keepa? Exactly.
And let me just put in there, I get a lot of the word overwhelming when it comes to Keepa. I'm so overwhelmed with Keepa. I need to study Keepa. I've got to spend a lot of time to get to know Keepa better than anything else. I don't think you do. I think you get started, and as you look at ASINs, Keepa is going to begin to make more and more sense to you. So we broke it down to say, what do you really need to get started? Which data points that Keepa offers on a listing do we need to make a decision whether we're going to test? Remember, it's only evidence, historical evidence of pricing. And we need to test that to see if we can get sales at the price that we need or not. And so we've put 3 data points in there that we usually start people off. If you know these 3 things, then go ahead and make a move. You don't have to know everything about Keepa.
Okay, what are those things real quick?
Those things are velocity. We want to make sure it's moving fast enough that we can get in and out of the ASIN quickly with our test. We want to have capital protection. We want to have good evidence that we're not going to have to sell it for less than our break-even price, even if it doesn't work out for a profit in that short period of time that we have got enough velocity for, so that we don't lose money, right? Because we're just testing. And a lot of times we're going to be testing things in the beginning, especially. We're going to be testing a lot of things to try to build our book of business. A lot of those will not make a profit, but we want to make sure we have good evidence, even though there are no guarantees, that we won't lose money on those, and then it won't hurt us, right? Then we'll feel confident that we can test as many as we want. And then the third is potential profit. I want some evidence that tells me that where should I start my price, right? Has it ever been priced at the price I need? Can I start there? Because I can always go down. I always start my price as high as I can find evidence for. Because I can always go down if it doesn't sell there. But if it does sell there, bonus, right?
One of the things I hear you say the most when I'm overhearing your coaching sessions
You must sit in the corner and just listen to me coach people.
is that I can always go down on my price. I can always come down on my price. But if you start your price at, well, I'm afraid I might not make that much, so let me just get super conservative and price it, at the buy box. Okay, nothing wrong with that if that's a good number for you.
Oh, yeah.
But you'll never know if you could sell it higher, and you can always go down on your price.
Yes, it's a test for a reason.
Exactly.
Not only am I testing if I can make a profit, I'm testing how much profit can I make. So I think it was just a couple days ago, I was working with someone and they said, I'm going to start right here in the middle here because that's what I think it'll probably sell at.
Exactly.
Okay, I think you're right. I think that's what you're going to find. However, why wouldn't you start at the highest price and work your way to there? Because what if it sells for even more than that?
Yeah.
Just because there's the history doesn't say it does it often, doesn't mean it doesn't give you evidence of it doing often, doesn't mean it doesn't happen often, right?
What if I could sell 5 units a week, let's just say, at that middle of the road price, or I could sell 3 units a week at the higher price? Which one would you take?
I would absolutely take the higher price. I can make more money with less work and less risk.
And we're talking about not more than marginally higher price, right? It can't be like 2 cents higher.
And we're
3 cents
talking
higher.
about 30 sales as opposed to 5 sales, not really 5 sales as opposed to 2.
No, I was talking about 5 to 3 would be reasonable for me.
Could be.
Couple of reasons for that. One is it's less work that I'm doing. And if I'm making enough more on the 3 versus the 5, then I would much rather do less work to make more money. Right?
Absolutely. Plus,
or even the same money.
Right. And this answers a question that I get a lot of times about, what happens if something sells really well, but I get it from Walmart and my Walmart only stocks 4 or 5 at a time.
Yeah.
Great. Sell those 4 or 5 at a time at a price that is high enough that only sells 4 or 5 at a time. Make more profit on that, and then go find some more. What is next to that on the shelf, and what else can we source from that same store, so that again we're saving time and efforts.
Yeah.
Even if we're ordering online, to me, going to the store or ordering online, changing sources is not
Painful.
the most efficient way. If I can get everything at one source, I'm happy.
Yeah. And that's why it can be a huge benefit when you're first getting started to just have a limited selection of stores.
Yes.
Source from 3, 4, 5 stores. And those are the only places that you're buying from. In the beginning, you're going to be very efficient as opposed to trying to manage hundreds of different stores.
Right. And these tips, come up as we have this conversation, but people ask me a lot too, what if I have to pay shipping to get that from, Target to my house, but if I spent a little bit more, I could get free shipping. Well, but I'd have to spend more than what would be a normal test for me. I buy more units. But why don't you just find another ASIN that you at that same source that you can test at the same time? Then you buy a few of these and a few of the other ASIN, and you get free shipping, and you didn't have to buy more than what your test was. You don't want to increase your risk to do that. Right?
Yeah.
And then you get two for one there too.
And hopefully you source a lot more items at that store too, so that, because you know what happens, some things will be out of stock, some things aren't profitable right now, whatever. So the more items you can find from a single source, that makes it way easier when you're shopping.
Right. Okay. Well, speaking of being proficient, being efficient.
Yep.
Get my words right. Being efficient. We said, really, you only need 3 data points. Make the decision and test.
Yep.
Now, while you're testing, you're probably going to go back and be looking at that Keepa chart and seeing what's happening with your inventory in there, which, trust me, it's a lot easier to see what's happening and to know which ones to look at when you've got inventory in an ASIN, rather than you're just deciding, should I test it or not? So we've decided quickly with 3 data points if we can test. Why do we say 3 data points, and why is it that we don't? There's a lot more information. Why don't we just glean all the information before we test?
This is the point I was trying to get to earlier, right? There's a virtual endless supply.
Yeah.
of different ways to filter the data from Keepa so that when you're evaluating products to sell, that
to
you're
test.
To test. Well, I mean, that's a sell.
Okay.
You're making the best decision that you can make, right? And because there are literally hundreds, that one I can say literal, literally hundreds
Yes.
of different data points available within Keepa for you to filter and and analyze and make decisions on. Well, then you have to sort of make this determination about how far with this do you really want to go.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, and the reason I thought this would be a good topic of conversation is that I was recently listening to someone in the technology industry speak, and they were talking about leveraging artificial intelligence, so AI.
Yep.
And
big topic right now.
That one of the major constraints around AI, the AI is like
The AI,
Keepa, the Google,
Keepa,
right?
The
AI.
the Google, the interweb.
One of the major constraints around continuing to leverage AI to its fullest potential is power. It's energy. And if anyone's been keeping up with the news, you probably have heard that Microsoft is actually firing up one of the reactors at 3 Mile Island for nuclear power to run their AI. I mean, this is the energy required to run this thing, okay?
Okay.
And the level of accuracy when it comes to leveraging tools like ChatGPT and Copilot, the level of accuracy to go from 85% accurate to 95% accurate, I have it on good authority from this well-known C-level executive at a high technology company we all know, love, and trust, okay? To go from 85% to 95% accuracy uses 100 times more energy.
Oh my God. This is what he told you when you interviewed him.
He was speaking from stage. I asked him a question, and this is what he came back and told me. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's get that right. From 85% accuracy to 95% accuracy is 100 times more power. So you have to double the power to get
that extra 10%.
That extra 10%.
That additional 10 more percent. And so when I heard him say that, it struck a chord with me because I know this is exactly the way we feel about when we're doing the Keepa and the 3-step check, right?
Yes.
Yes, we could make a 95-step check. We could absolutely do that, right? But the amount of time and effort required to get that last 10% is not worth it.
And exactly, there are diminishing returns then.
Yeah.
Then you've spent a lot of your time and efforts on this ASIN that you have not even tested. What happens if you test it after all of that and you still don't know any more than you would have known if you just used three-step check? Three-step check.
Exactly. This is what I'm trying to say.
It's no more benefit to look at the whole thing. It's not enough more benefit.
It's not enough more benefit. And those things, the additional data points that you would collect in that 127-step check or whatever it was, right, is not that meaningful to you until you actually have inventory in the system.
Yes.
Now, this reminds me of when we're studying for our driving test.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember studying for your driver's test?
I absolutely do.
I know.
I got an A+ just like I do on every other test when I was in school.
But then taking the driver's test, the driven portion of the test.
I'm not sure I got an A+ on that part. The written part for sure.
I think we all got a good score on most of us do. Although I look at the people I'm driving around with today, I'm like, did they actually pass the test to go driving? But
don't they tell you to use your turn signal? Okay, digression. Go ahead.
The framework around driving a vehicle is like the traffic signs, the traffic laws, the speed limits, the lanes, but the biggest challenge, that's not the biggest challenge for most people. The biggest challenge for most people is learning how to make the vehicle do what they want it to do while they're driving. Yes. I know I can only make a left turn here. Better make sure I know how to make a left turn.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You've got to be able to utilize that framework. Because you can know you have to turn left, but unless you've practiced and figured out how to make your car turn left.
Or, what's the distance that you need to make a proper stop from a certain distance?
That was definitely something that I really needed to get some experience.
I remember when I was learning to drive, my parents had land yachts back in the day.
Pretty much everybody had lanyards.
Yeah, I think you're right. We all did. And I remember getting behind the wheel and the nose of the car being so big and so long, I could not tell if I was in my own lane or not.
Yeah.
Right? That was the biggest challenge for me.
And you weren't like above it like you are now. Like it was straight out in front of you.
Yeah. And, I'm not especially tall anyway, so it's not like I have that great of a vantage point when I'm behind the wheel.
He's not
to begin
especially
with.
tall, no.
So when
or tall at all in any sense of the word.
So I remember asking my dad, like, how do I know that I'm in my own lane?
Right.
I'm afraid I'm going to run someone off the road. And so he gave me a great tip. Yeah. And I still use that tip today.
Yeah.
Right? It helps me.
What was the tip?
Basically, as far of the front of the hood that you can see on the left-hand side, just keep that lined up with the dashed line or the solid line, depending on which lane you're in. He told me if I keep that pretty well lined up, then I'm going to be in my lane.
Yes.
And sure enough,
keep in mind, people who are learning to drive from the coach's corner, the hoods don't look like that anymore. So if you're doing that, it's probably not going to work very well for you. But you're right. One little tip makes all the difference. Or you could stop the car and get out and look and, check 13 different data points. And
actually today with all the cameras on the newer vehicles, you can actually see exactly where you are in your lane as you're driving down the road.
Yes.
So that takes the need to do that.
How long ago we learned to drive. But
the whole point of that conversation, I know it was a bit of a rabbit hole off script, is that a lot of these data points that we're leaving out of the decision making process to go from 85% to 95% either don't matter or are far more meaningful to you once you have inventory in the ASIN.
Absolutely.
So then use it as a learning experience to build your knowledge and educate yourself on what those data points mean when you are actually in the game.
Yes. And I agree with that. And I say, you may not use the same data points we do or that we recommend people start with when we're working with them, but just pick a few. Don't spend hours and hours trying to figure out Keepa. It will make more sense to you as you use it, just like any other tool.
I think if you expect that you're going to have Keepa mastered before you've sold anything, you're not going to sell anything
for a very... Yeah. Oh, I don't have Keepa mastered.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have Keepa mastered. And we're in Keepa all the time, every day.
And we hear it all the time, too. Like, well, I really want to focus. I'm going to buckle down and, get Keepa learned, become the Keepa master so that I can, manage my business going forward. And I applaud that. I think you should be the Keepa master. I think you should be the sourcing master.
You should be the sourcing master.
Sourcing master for your own business and all that. But in order to really do it, you have to have inventory in stock, right?
So get some inventory in stock by looking at a few data points, protect your capital, make sure it's moving fast enough, and get some data in there so that you can study it more and get more information about it. Okay, yes. I think we've beat that horse pretty hard. Let's keep moving.
Okay, let's talk about our tip this time.
Yes. So we had a topic, now tip. I'll get it. Does this tip have to do with Keepa as well?
It does, yeah.
All right.
So I think we're trying to group them, or at least we have so far in the first two versions of this, first two iterations of this structure of this series. Yeah. So in this case, the tip is what I call the tool tip, which is when you are hovering in things on the Keepa extension, you get a little pop-up tip that pops up. It's the little description that Keepa is trying to tell you what that actually means, right?
Okay,
what
so
is
let
the
me make
definition
sure
of?
we understand exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about the Keepa Chrome extension. When you're looking at a listing, as if you're going to buy the listing, then if you have the Keepa Chrome extension loaded and turned on, underneath that listing or about a little ways, scroll down from the initial listing and you will see Keepa charts and there's a legend on the right, and you're saying there's a tooltip if you hover over. Is that?
There is, only this particular tip is not about what's on the legend.
Oh.
This particular tip is about what's underneath that chart.
Excuse me.
Yes. We're going to talk about one of the legend things in a minute.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So we always talk about sales velocity, right? Or implied sales velocity by way of sales rank drops. Okay. And I would say in the old days, we would look at the green lines on the chart and maybe start even counting how many drops there were. I did.
We used to count. 1,
because
2,
Because my criteria was different back in those days where I was
Sure.
like, if it had at least 5 drops, well, then I was interested in it. Today, 5 drops is not nearly enough sales velocity.
No, I would say.
But it was
not at
super
all.
easy to count 5 drops.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at a Keepa chart or a product that has a lot more movement, well, it's very hard to pop in there and start counting how many times the line goes down. Although I have caught myself doing it before.
Yes. Yes, I've caught you doing it before too. What are you doing? Why?
But at the bottom of the Keepa chart,
yes,
there's actually
on the Chrome extension,
on the Chrome extension, right underneath the very last
or even
thing,
inside the and
right.
inside.
There's a thing that says sales rank drops
Yes.
right on it. All you have to do is hover over it, and I mean, you don't even have to hover over it. It has a number right beside it, and it says sales rank drops.
That is defined as the number of sales rank drops on average per month for the last 90 days.
Right, over the last.
So
90
for the
days.
last 3 months, on average, every month in that 3 months has had that number
of
sales rank drops. Now, sales rank drops are not sales. Sales rank drops are an indication of velocity. And we have tested this. We feel comfortable saying that enough of the time, almost all the time, that there is a sales rank drop, there was at least one sale because it changed the popularity in that category. So it's a conservative number. There are probably, possibly, and very probably many, many more sales than one per sales rank drop. But because we're using it as a minimum, we want to be very conservative to decide whether we're going to test or not because we're going to look at it and move on quickly.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So it's a conservative number, probably means very many more than.
And like I said, it's the implied sales velocity. It really is the sales rank number is a popularity number of the product that we're looking at within its category and subcategory. But if it's moving, if it has a good number of sales rank drops, which we say is 30 or better, then that is has some implied sales velocity. For us, that ticks the box. That's the first step in our 3-step check.
Yes.
Okay.
That is true.
All right.
All right. So that's our tool tip.
That's the tool. That's the tip.
That's the tip.
Yep.
Okay. So in the term, what the term today is going to get into what I started to talk about before, right?
Yes, the term. This is so interesting, and so the term is new, and new is one of those. What'd you call it on the right hand side of the Keepa chart?
In the legend.
The legend.
Yes.
If you can turn new on or you can turn new off, and new is usually represented by a blue line, and if you hover over it, we're going to get into exactly what new means, but there are variants of new.
Right. So on many ASINs, you'll see a new price. You'll see, and this is a history of a price new, which means it's not a new seller or a price that just changed. It's the price for it to be sold as a new item as opposed to a used item. Okay.
Yeah.
So new, then you'll have new third-party FBA price, or and you have new third-party FBM price. And these are all different numbers. Some of them may follow the same line, but they're all for not used, but new inventory or items that you're buying.
New pricing.
But it's not a new price as in yesterday was an old price and today's a new price.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's a price for the new product.
Item. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so we got that cleared up. Now,
So
what are
new
the differences in these?
New third-party FBA is the lowest new price by a third-party seller with FBA, which is Prime.
Okay, so wait, what was new? One of them just says new.
I know. I'm going to get to new here in a second, but I wanted to cover the new third-party
lowest new price by a third-party seller with FBA.
FBA, yes.
Okay, so that doesn't mean the price it's sold for.
Correct.
That doesn't mean the price that it might have been all day long. It's picking one price that is the lowest that it saw that day.
By any third party. So
including Amazon.
whatever time period it was there to check.
Yes.
So it's showing you the lowest, and you'll frequently see where new FBA is lower than buy box or vice versa. New FBA is higher than buy box if there is a buy box.
Right. exactly. You will absolutely see that.
Now, the new FBA, third-party FBA, is the orange triangles on the chart
Right.
when you're looking at that.
Right. So it's not a line, it's triangles, and they only get a new triangle when that price changes. So you may have several days that have no triangle. That means the price is the same during that time.
Then there's new third-party FBM,
Yes.
which is the lowest new price by a third-party seller with FBM, shipping included.
Aha.
Yes. Just like
Key
FBA.
differences.
Just like FBA.
Right.
They're
'Cause
trying to
FBA
account for
obviously
shipping included.
is right.
Right?
Right. So
With
they're
me so
trying
far?
to make those two
Apples to
contrast-
apples.
Apples to apples.
Yep.
Right. So those two, I would say, are apples to apples. The difference is it's an FBA seller where there's going to be a prime sale that's going to be sent from Amazon's warehouse as opposed to FBM, which is fulfilled by merchant, which is more that eBay kind of model where I have the item at home, you buy it, and I ship it directly to you. It doesn't go through Amazon first. Okay. So FBA, FBM, lowest new price by either, whichever one you're looking at, for that day
Correct. For that time period.
of that type of seller.
Yep.
Okay.
Then finally, new
Yes.
is capturing or encapsulating all the things above, plus one we haven't talked about. So new, just the blue one, just new, is the lowest new price by a third-party seller or Amazon, shipping not included.
Aha. So if it's FBA, it doesn't change. Shipping doesn't change because it's free shipping, right? But it's FBM, shipping is a different number there. So the averages and the lowest price is going to be a different number.
Actually, we should see a different number when we have new next to new FBM,
Right.
because a lot of FBMs don't include shipping.
Right.
Now, if it does include shipping, then it's going to be a wash. But
Right.
But
And
anyway.
a lot of times they do now these days.
So let me just take a minute and tell a story about how I use
Another
this.
story?
I
You did
know.
a lot of stories today.
I know.
How do you use it?
You look very nice, by the way.
Thank you very much. You look like
I know.
you could look nicer.
I look like it's a day off.
It is, yeah, it is kind of
Yeah.
a day off for you
Yeah.
today. All right, we'll allow it.
Okay. Anyway, I used to, when I was doing my filters in Keepa, just
Yes.
put a value in the new third-party FBA.
Yes.
And I wasn't listening to my own advice when I was doing that.
I find myself doing that sometimes. Wait, this is not what I teach other people to do.
Because when we put a value in any one of those fields in Keepa, then we're telling Keepa only return to me listings where this value is true.
Now you're talking about the Keepa product
I'm
finder.
talking about the-
We're not
yeah.
on the extension anymore.
Correct. Right. So when I was putting a value in the new third-party FBA price, then it was only returning listings to me where there were new third-party FBA offers.
Yes.
Okay.
But guess what?
So then I was missing out on listings where maybe there wasn't an FBA offer, but there were FBM offers.
Yeah.
So then I switched to go, okay, I'm going to put just a value in the FBM price.
Okay.
Again, didn't learn from my own teachings here.
I was going to say, I don't think that cures the problem.
Because then what would happen?
You'll only get ones where there is an FBM seller.
Right. Well, so I may be interested in listings where there aren't any FBM sellers, but I'm only returning listings where there are FBM sellers. So, right.
So you're missing out.
Finally, I dialed it into putting a value in new.
Okay.
Okay. So then new for me is just helping me kind of set the watermark for where the item is theoretically priced. Any offer with that price point will work, either FBA or FBM or Amazon.
My only exception with that is that you might have artificially low prices for FBM sellers, but it
True.
is true that most FBM listings I have seen do include shipping, so it wouldn't affect there. Just, and there are times when I would use the first, second, and third example that
Sure.
you just gave for different reasons. And this is something that we encourage people to do, especially the people who take our courses about Keepa, is to experiment for yourself. Are you getting what you think you're getting? What are you missing? What are you looking for? And answer the question, how do I find that in Keepa? That may be turning on a price in third-party FBA, and it may not. But if you're looking to not, just make sure that you know which one of these that you're getting back, and then you're not limiting yourself by putting a number in one of those that you didn't mean to limit.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Whew.
I know we got a little bit down in the weeds there, but I wanted to talk about that because I think it's an evolution of the way I've approached this. And it also helps illustrate the point of how Keepa works when you're putting a value in any of those fields or filters.
Yeah. I think you really have to experiment with it to make sure you're getting what you think you are, and to make sure that you are answering the question that you're looking to answer with that. Because we use several different product finder filters for different reasons to find different things.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Keepa. That's a topic, a tip, and a term about Keepa, which is, the second thing that we think you need after you open your seller account.
Yeah.
So that's number 2. Do we have a quote for us today? Do you have a quote for us today, Brian?
I do have a quote for us today. Short and sweet one today.
Yeah.
Let frustration fuel inspiration. This one comes to us from Sonia Boyce.
I like it.
Frustration fuel inspiration.
I don't think there's much I can add to that.
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about that for a minute.
Oh, well, all right. What pray tell can you add?
Have you ever been frustrated when you're doing the Amazon business?
Yeah.
And what happens in that frustration?
I get irritated.
Yeah, and initially you're like, oh, I just want to be done, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is not fun anymore. I just when I feel like I got something dialed in, something changes, the world changes, and now I can't do that anymore, and I'm frustrated. Or that's just one example. Or like, I've been sourcing for 2.5 hours and I haven't found one thing yet.
Yes.
That could be frustration.
Yeah.
Or I got a poor customer review. Can make you frustrated.
Sure.
Your shipment is sitting on the dock for 3.5 weeks.
And not being received. Because it's all backed up because it's Q4 and you're in line behind many other boxes.
For me, when you get that level of frustration kicking in, it reminds me of another quote, and I don't know who said it, but where it goes like, necessity is the mother of invention. Yeah. When these kind of things pop up, boy, you're looking for other ways to make progress, and that's the inspiration.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so it makes me think of, when you're angry, channel that anger into something positive. When you're frustrated, let's turn that around and channel it into a fuel for inspiration. I do have a lot of people tell me, "Oh yeah, I'm frustrated, but I'm not quitting. I'm just gonna keep trying until I find success." Yep. Right? Find a way that works for me. And that's what you have to do. And, those who find a way find success.
That's right. So when they are frustrated because things aren't going exactly the way they want them to, or they anticipated them to, what solves that problem?
Let's go test some more ASINs.
Test some more ASINs. Let's go test some more ASINs.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, before we let you go, we've got a special segment that we do here once per week with our good friend Jeff Schick from jeffschick.com. He is a legal and policy expert for all things Amazon, Walmart, and e-commerce, and we're excited to have another unique perspective from Jeff this week. So, Jeff, what do you got for us this week?
So we're actually switching gears from Amazon. We're going to talk about Walmart. So it's Walmart's the new thing that people are going towards and selling on for e-commerce. I do tell people I think it's the next frontier. If you don't have a Walmart account yet, I highly advise getting it. So far, they've been adding thousands of Chinese sellers a month to the platform. And the reason why I say you should go ahead and get it is not because they're adding Chinese sellers. It's because, like all things that Chinese sellers get involved with, it's just going to get ruined for everyone else. So what I mean by that is right now it's a registration process. It used to be an application process where you put an application, wait a couple weeks, they come back and they call you, they ask some questions, and then if they think that you're a good fit, they would give you access to the platform and you'd have your account. That's what it was like when I signed up in 2017. About a year or two ago, they switched to a registration process. That was actually, I guess it was October of 2022. So it's about 2 years ago, where you could actually just go on to walmart.com, click register, and you'd get an account number. And you just had to go through the onboarding and meet some of their qualifications. The reason why I say that this is important is because with the rise of Chinese sellers, and we're seeing an increase in infringement and black hat tactics and things like that, there's a very good likelihood that they're going to switch back to an application process to try to secure the marketplace a little bit better. So if you want to avoid the application process and just go ahead and get an account now, it's beneficial because you get your account number, you get it established. So far, what I've experienced is that it stays active even if you don't sell anything. So every time I log in, which is like once every few weeks, it still says on my Amazon or my Walmart account, active in good standing, even though I haven't sold anything since 2017. So it's very worthwhile. Now, alongside that, I promised you guys some information about what we're seeing. We are seeing Walmart suspensions. So we've had about 5 sellers suspended on Walmart so far this year. We've gotten all of them back. So 100% success rate, which I'm proud of. And it just goes to show that Walmart is still, really a new platform that's easy to work with because they're still giving people second chances on certain things. Number one thing we're seeing people suspended for, though, has to do with inventory management. And so a lot of sellers are using inventory management software and they might not understand all the settings. And so they're, either they're pricing things inappropriately, like we had someone accidentally sell things for $1 and they were like expensive items. They went in, they canceled all the orders and then got suspended for high order cancellation rate. That was, so then we wrote an appeal and got them reinstated. But if you're using inventory management software that sets pricing, make sure that it's set up properly because you can't just go in and cancel orders because you sold things too cheaply. That's a violation on Walmart. Similarly, if you're using inventory management software, you want to make sure that it's accurately updating. So, it should be linked properly so that your inventory is the same across Amazon and Walmart. So if you are a merchant fulfilling stuff for Amazon FBM and Walmart fulfillment, you want to make sure that if you have 5 units in stock and you sell 1 on Amazon, that you're now go down to 4 on Walmart and Amazon. Where that becomes a problem is sometimes the software will still show 5 on Walmart. And then if you go in and sell 5, you've oversold. And then that order counts as an order cancellation. And again, just like if you price too high, we've had, 3 sellers get suspended this year just for selling items they didn't actually have in stock because their inventory of software was wrong. So we're able to get them back, but it'd be better to not be suspended in the first place.
Have you noticed that the process is pretty similar to Amazon from a Walmart side, or is it easier, more difficult? How is that from an account health perspective on your end?
Very, very similar to how Amazon used to be. So it's there was some speculation that Walmart had hired a bunch of Amazon representatives to manage their suspension practice. And it probably is true because how they act is how Amazon used to be in the old days. So the process is refreshingly simple compared to before. You just have to be able to accurately identify the issue and come up with corrective actions. That they're really big on their corrective actions. So you can't just say like, I'll do better. You actually have to say, I'm going to do better by doing X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, sub bullet points, I, 2, 3, and so forth. They really want a lot of detail on what you did wrong and how you're going to fix it. But if you can identify that and fix it, they're willing to give people second chances.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, as you mentioned, for anybody that's interested in opening up their Walmart account now, they should go and check that out. Also, we've got the Walmart course within this community is at provenamazoncourse.com/Walmart. If you're interested in seeing some of the content and community for that. But yes, Jeff, you do specialize in all things, whether it's Amazon or Walmart or other e-commerce platforms. So if you're interested in looking at Jeff for his retainer services for Walmart and Amazon, go ahead and check out jeffschick.com. That link will be in the show notes if you need to access it there. Jeff, thanks so much for being here this week. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Sounds good. You're welcome. Thank you.